morning, good evening, good day, or good afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. Hi, how are you? Welcome back if you're not new around here. And if you are new around here, welcome. This is a channel where we talk makeup and eczema and skincare and the way all of those interact and interlap. If that sounds fun, if you're looking for some more colorful makeup on your timeline, if you're looking for some more colorful makeup fun, then this is the channel for you. Hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell if you would like a notification for when I upload a video. Okay, let's get into this. So I'm sure you could all tell by the title of the video, but today we are, the title and the thumbnail, today we are going to be ranking my Colourpop palettes. Now I have quite an extensive Colourpop collection, not a huge one compared to other YouTubers on the site, but compared to a normal everyday person, I have a lot of Colourpop palettes. I have 16 that I've tried, 2 I've yet to try, which would make it 18, but we're not going to count those in the official ranking right now because I don't think it's fair because I haven't tried them yet. I am going to be counting backwards because I feel like that builds suspense, so we are going to be starting with my least favorite Colourpop palette that I own, and that is the Going Coconuts palette. Now, funnily enough, this is a palette that a lot of YouTubers actually love from Colourpop, and I can see why. This is a very cute neutral palette. But here's the thing about this palette. It's neutral. It's so neutral. Like, maybe besides these two colors, all of it is so neutral. And it's really hard for me to get, like, I don't get excited with this palette. And if I do I'm going to do a declutter this year, and when I do that declutter, this is probably going to go on the chopping block. Because, yeah, this is not my forte. This is not my... I bought it because I was trying so hard to get myself into neutrals. I really did try. I tried so hard. And no such luck. Could not get myself into this. So maybe my mom will like this, or my Aunt Cheryl, or my dad's wife, Olga, but if none of them like it, I will probably end up putting it for sale on my Poshmark. Not now, because, did something just move? Okay. Not now, because I'm not doing a declutter. This is not a declutter, this is a ranking. But this is way too neutral for me besides those two colors, and I never go for this besides that one video I made out of it. So this does not inspire me. Okay, at number 15, we have the Colourpop Bare Necessities palette. Now, don't be fooled by the outside and the inside of this palette. I have barely used this because it bores me. Same problem with the Going Coconuts palette. I like this one slightly better because you have this row of kind of purpley mauve tones that I really like, and these two shimmers, I actually really adore them. The shimmers in this palette are amazing. And I love that there are no pressed glitters in this. This is a great palette for a neutral lover, but I am not a neutral lover. And I keep trying to be, and I need to realize that I'm not going to be. And this, if there was a declutter, would probably end up going up on my Poshmark. I'm not going to swatch anything. I'm going to swatch something. This shade right here, Designer Duds, this one. This one right here, Silk Teddy, and this one, Rumored, are beautiful, beautiful shades. Look how gorgeous that is. Part of me is wondering, like, can I just take those three shades? I almost just want to take, like, from here down and then these two shades out of the palette and then sell it, but I don't think that's fair, and I can't even guarantee that I'll end up using these shades anyway because I have so much in my collection. But this is not a declutter. This is why this is at the bottom, and I never reach for this unless I force myself to, and I don't want to have to force myself to use a palette that I own because that means that I do not want to use it. So, number 15. At the number 14 spot, we have the Baby Got Peach palette. Now, this was a gift from my mom for Christmas a while back, and I had put this on my Christmas list a while back as well, and I didn't know then, but I've realized it now that warmer toned things are fun, but I prefer cooler toned ones, and a whole palette of peach when I already have a whole palette of corals is a little hard for me to have as much fun with. There's no depth to this palette, which is part of the problem. This shade is really cool and really bright, but the only deep tone in this whole palette is this one, and I got rid of that entire pressed glitter right there because I hate pressed glitters. But anyways, I feel that besides the lovely shimmers, I really don't reach for this palette. It does not get my creative juices flowing when I look at it. I want to use it more just simply because I haven't used it enough, not because when I look at it, I want to use it. Does that make sense? Number 13 on this list is the Mar palette. Now, they recently discontinued this, so I'm probably not ever going to get rid of it. And I wouldn't have gotten rid of it anyway, but this is the Mar palette. And the reason why this is lower on the list, even though nostalgically I love this because this was one of the first purchases I ever made with Colourpop, and it is what got me into makeup more. I love this whole row of oceany blue-greens. I love it. And these kind of bronzy golds are beautiful, but it's mostly a neutral palette with a few pops of something here and there. And besides summer vacations, I really don't pull this out, like, at all. Now, I love it, and the nostalgia factor would have put it higher if there weren't so many great palettes that I have already on this list. But yeah, that is number 13, the Mar palette. Coming in at number 12, we have the Making Mauves palette. Now, this palette is not a bad palette by any means. I don't think any of the palettes that I'm mentioning here are bad in any way, quality-wise, formula-wise. But again, like the problem with the Baby Got Peach palette, there is really no depth here besides this shade, and these two shades right here, which is Tongue-Tied and Solitaire, are the exact same shades. I've swatched them. The exact same shades, except this one has a little bit of micro glitter in it, and I don't know what the purpose is then, because I use this the same way I use a regular matte, a matte with a micro glitter. I use it the same way, so why do you give me the same shade twice? It feels like there are redundancies in this palette, which I don't really love, but these shimmers are amazing, and that's what gets me coming back to this palette more than anything, more than the mattes, is the shimmers. But when only 1/3 of the palette is what keeps me coming back, not going to be very high on the list. At number 11, we have the Sweet Talk palette. Now this, along with the Mar palette that I showed previously, were the first ever palettes that I got from Colourpop. I actually got them in a bundle. I got this palette, the Mar palette, and 2 Super Shock shadows. And this is when I first discovered Colourpop back in 2019, and I first started really getting into makeup, because before that I wore a little makeup, but it wasn't really my forte. I didn't really know much about it. And the reason that this did not make it into the top 10 is because of these 2 pressed glitters. This is a gorgeous palette. You've got depth, you've got different color stories you can do. You can do a more orangier, mustardy shade one. You can do a more corally one, even though these 2 shades tend to be really, really similar, so it's a little hard to tell between them. There was a Super Shock here, but it completely fell out of the palette when I was using it into the sink, the wet sink, so I couldn't use it anymore. Which is another reason why it's not big on the list, is because of that, I only have 2 shimmers out of this whole palette, so the looks that I can make feel a little limited, even though I have all these mattes. And I really wish they had just put different shimmers here instead of these pressed glitters, because I hate pressed glitters. I can't put them on my eyes because they irritate my eczema like nothing else. So, and they're not eye safe, so why are they putting them in eyeshadow palettes? Anyways, I love this palette. The nostalgia factor, like, I could never get rid of this palette. I adore it to pieces. I love it. I bring it out every spring and summer. Love, 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 love this palette. We are now getting into the top 10 ranking. I know this wasn't a huge list of like 75 or whatever, it was only 16, but still top 10. So coming in at number 10 is the Colourpop X's and O's palette. Now I got this as a Christmas gift a couple of years back from my Aunt Kathy, and this was, I believe this was an Ulta exclusive. Beautiful palette. No pressed glitters to be found anywhere. Deepening shades here. This one is a more like almost reddish brown, which is really unique to my collection. There are so many unique shades to my collection in here, and there are so many beautiful shimmers. Like, all of these are gorgeous. A few of them are some duochromes, which I love. I really feel like this shade does not need to be there, especially when we have this light one right there. But this is a gorgeous fall palette. I bring this out for fall. I love it. Love the outer packaging. Great palette. In the number 9 spot, we have the Little Ray of Sunshine palette. Now when I reviewed this, fell in love with this palette, and I still love this palette. Gorgeous, wonderful palette. Love the packaging, love it all. I think my only gripe is that these two shades are so light for me, and I never use them for anything, so I would just get rid of them altogether and maybe replace them with 2 shimmers. I love this palette, I do, but all matte looks do not, I don't find them fun. For me, I really enjoy really fun, glittery, shimmery things, so even though I love this palette, the lack of shimmers and these 2 shades here are what keep it more lower on the list instead of really high up like it could be. But gorgeous, wonderful, buttery palette. Coming in at number 8 is the Fine Feathered palette. I recently just got this and reviewed it, and I enjoy this palette. I do. I think a problem with this palette is there is no deepening shade, like super deep dark shade for it, and there isn't a more purpley shimmer for these more purpley tones. But besides that, it is a lovely palette. I don't really use these tones a lot on myself. I'm more of a blue, green, purple girl than pinkies, but I still really enjoy this color story. I really enjoyed the formula. So yeah. At number 7, we have the Mint to Be palette. This is a really pretty palette. I got this, I think, a year or 2 ago when it first launched, and it is a beautiful pastel-y mint palette. Now, because it's meant to be pastel, I'm not going to dock it for not having a super deepening shade, though I would have loved that. I love this palette. I love that you have the more olivey greeny mint shades and then the more turquoisey mint shades, though again, I have no use for these super light mattes. Please, let's get rid of them. And my Colourpop shades sometimes keep popping out, and I don't know what's up with that, but love this palette. I haven't reached for it in a while, but I do really enjoy it. At number 6, we have the High Tide palette. This is another palette that I just recently did a look for and reviewed. I haven't done anything else besides that, but this is a lovely palette. Absolutely lovely. You have your deep darkening shade here. You have your kind of more greenier sea green mattes. You have your more turquoisey ones. You have that really lightening shade there. Again, not a big fan of those, but what are you gonna do? And you have 3 shimmers here, and this one is a duochrome, and this one is too, I believe. They're both gorgeous. Yeah, I feel like this is like the darker cousin of the Mint to Be palette, and I love it. I feel like in tandem, those two could really work out. This is lower on the list along with the Fine Feathered one because I've only ever tried them once, so I don't have more of a formed opinion, but still love it. Okay, we're now moving into the top 5. At number 5, we have the Blue Moon palette. This palette is wonderful. Oh my gosh. You have so many really cool and different blue tones here. You have this more periwinkly, almost blurple right there. You have like a true sky blue. You have this one, which is a hint more purple. You have a deep darkening shade. You have these gorgeous, gorgeous shimmers. I have to swatch this one. I'm sorry. Let's see if I have room on here. Oh, just absolutely stunning, stunning palette. I love it. I love everything about it. I would not change a thing. At number 4, we have the It's My Pleasure palette. Now, I got this from a former friend for my birthday 2 years ago. A year ago. And this is a beautiful palette. I am a huge, huge, huge fan of purples. They're my all-time favorite color, purple. So, of course, this palette would be high up. This is a more pinkier palette, which, okay, but it's still purple. You have some duochromes in here, like this shade, and that one. And I just really would not change a single thing about this palette, except maybe make this a deep matte instead of a deep shimmer. I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to do with that shimmer. But besides that, absolutely stunning. Number 3, we have the Lilac You A Lot palette. Lilac is my all-time favorite shade of purple. I'm going to be very gentle with this because one of my favorite shades in here is Shattered. Okay. I love this palette. As soon as it dropped, I had to get it. This is the shade that broke. I'm so sad about it. You have duochromes in here. You have this bubblegum pink. You have 2 deep darkening shades. You can go with a more pinkier lilac or a more purpley lilac, and it's beautiful and stunning, and I've used this for so many looks. I adore it. I adore it so much. Okay, at number 2, we have the Raw Beauty Christie at Forest Sight palette. I have been lusting after this palette ever since I saw the promo photos for it, ever since it dropped. Ever since I heard in the first place that Christie would be making a palette with Colourpop, doing a collab. This is a gorgeous palette. First of all, I love the packaging, love the whole aesthetic. This is based off of the Washington area, which I love. I've spent my summers and winters there. I go to school there. I love that area. Oh my gosh, I love this palette. This is the grungy rainbow that I never knew that I wanted. It is gorgeous. I don't think I would change a single one of these shades. I love them. I love them. This shade right here, Evergreen, is stunning. Absolutely stunning. You see that duochrome from brown to kind of green? I got this for Christmas from my mom this year, and I was so happy. I think I almost started crying. I love this palette, and you can pry it out of my cold, dead hands. I might even buy a backup one day. Who knows? But it is stunning. Take a shot every time I say stunning. Now, last but certainly not least, coming in at number 1 is the Kathleen Lights So Jaded palette. I think you guys have heard me rave about this palette for so long. I talked about it in my Makeup Holy Grails. I adore this palette with my entire being. It has my heart and my soul. It is stunning. It comes with a Super Shock shadow. It is a whole jewel-toned rainbow. No, not again, not again. Okay, this shade just entirely plopped out in its entire form, and I was able to scoop it up with a note card and put it back in, but I'm going to hold it like this because I don't want that happening again. This palette has been discontinued, sadly, but I love it. It is an entire rainbow of jewel tones, and I have taken this traveling with me everywhere. It is honestly all I could ever need, all I could ever want. I've used this for everything. I love every single shade except for these two. I hate pressed glitters, and except for this one and maybe that one, because I really have no use for those. But these shades are gorgeous. Absolutely fantastic. And I am so sad it's been discontinued, because I'm not sure what I'm going to do now that it's gone. I really don't. I love you with all of my heart. I really do. I could write a whole love song about you. You guys, I'm so stupid. I just looked under my pile of makeup that's on my desk that I just used to film this look, and I saw another Colourpop palette in there that I just did not include in this ranking. So it's 17 palettes, and I don't know where this would go right now. Not in the top 10, but I'm sorry, you guys. Anyways, thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. I hope you had fun. I hope this informed your buying habits. And I hope you all just have a wonderful day, and join me next time. Mwah. Bye.